Oh, all right. Good morning, Vikings fans. How is everybody doing today? The NFL draft just wrapped up. I'm going to be kind of giving you guys my initial thoughts on the NFL draft, focusing on the offense because you guys see by the title, the Minnesota Vikings offense is finally complete. And I think the NFL draft did a great job of doing that. Listen, give it up to Rick Spielman. Both sides of the ball, I thought he was fantastic, especially when it came to offensive linemen. Super excited to get over this. I mean, Christian Darrisaw, Wyatt Davis, even drafting Kellen Mond. I think they addressed all their bases in this NFL draft. And I think I'm going to be titling this probably the Minnesota Vikings Offensive Overview NFL Draft Edition or something around those lines. Anyways, the offensive line got really shored up, and I'm going to be kind of giving you guys all my thoughts right now. If you guys are new here, subscribe to the channel. A ton of content over the draft. I'm going to be doing a draft profile over every single player the Vikings drafted and probably every unrestricted free agent they bring in, just to give you guys a better idea. I already did one on Christian Darrisaw. I believe it was posted a couple days ago. Ton of those coming this week, and I cannot wait to get those out to you guys. But anyways, Minnesota Vikings NFL offensive side of the football overview. Let's get into it right now. Jeez, does it feel good to have some big boys on the offensive line? And that's my number one takeaway. The Vikings got meaty up front. They got some bone up there. They got some weight up on the front line finally. You look at Christian Darrisaw, 6'4.5", I believe, 35-inch arms, weighing around 335. Then you bring in Wyatt Davis, 6'4", 320 at the guard next to Bradbury. Look at right guard. We still got Ezra at right tackle. We still got Brian O'Neill. And I love the way this line is shoring up right now because I didn't want them, honestly. I know a lot of people were saying if we don't get a tackle, we need to move Ezra back to left tackle. I was kind of against that, mainly because of the fact I think him and Brian O'Neill, I think it takes time to build chemistry on an offensive line. I think Bradbury, Ezra, and Brian O'Neill, I think they were starting to build chemistry later on in the year. We saw that at the Green Bay game, especially when Ezra came on hot. They seem to all get along. And then if you look at the left side now, you got two rookies, which is great. You let them develop together, and then you also let Bradbury he's kind of the vet. He's the center. This is his third year. He's kind of got to understand what he needs to obviously still develop, but also he's the veteran. He needs to kind of take over. He's got Brian O'Neill and Bradbury. They're going to be playing with rookies and a second-year guy, and they're not even that experienced. So this is going to be a very young line. However, there's a lot of talent on this offensive line now. I mean, you really look at this. You got Brian O'Neill. He's a first-round talent. Bradbury, an actual first-round talent. Christian Darrisaw, first-round talent. Wyatt Davis, people are saying he could go first or second round. We got him in the third. He's a very talented guy. Obviously, we know how good Ezra Cleveland could be. Listen, the Vikings had one concern on offense going into this year for me, and that was the backup quarterback position and their offensive line. And did they shore up that offensive line 100%? I know as Vikings fans, we kind of have fallen in love into the passing game, and I think we've wanted them to open up the offense, but there's a part of me that, I mean, this offensive line has the potential to just run teams out of the damn, stadium. I mean, you look at Wyatt Davis and what he was able to do at Ohio State. If you look at Ohio State's track record, especially in past years, they ran a lot of crossing routes, a lot of drag routes, or just check down, get the ball to the fast receiver, and get up and get out. However, this past year, they were a lot of bootleg. Hey, we're going to hand the ball off, and we're going to run our running back, and then once your linebackers and safeties start coming down, Justin Fields will take your head off. And that's what the Vikings do. And Wyatt Davis, I know he's a third-round guy, but I might be more excited for him than I am for Darrisaw, just because of the fact that Ohio State, they create this mauling mentality where they're not going to stop. We're running the ball down your throat 30, 35 times. You got Cook, you got Madison. I feel like people are kind of almost falling asleep on Dalvin Cook, acting like he's not a top 3 running back. Plus, we have Madison back there. We know how special he could be. Listen, the running game next year, I think it was already amazing this past year, but seriously, look for the running game to take another step forward, another development in this Kubiak running scheme, because we all know we need to develop the passing game more, but if we could keep building on our strength as well as improving the passing game, this offense could be dangerous. All right, now looking at obviously throwing the ball. This is when Super Bowls are also won. You got to be able to do both. You got to be able to run. You got to be able to pass in today's NFL, and I think with getting these bigger guys for Kirk Cousins, just give him a half a second more. Listen, Kirk, he's had some great years in the past. It's just, we know what he's not good at. He's not good at being mobile. He's not. And the Vikings know that too. So you know what? The Vikings were self-aware, and they understand they need to get some big guys up front to at least protect for Kirk. Christian Darrisaw, #1 rated pass blocker out of any Power 5 tackle, 94.5 grade according to PFF. #1 graded tackle when it comes to pass protection. Again, that's great. You're going to have 2 tackles who I'm going to feel comfortable with. Hopefully Darrisaw works out. I'm hoping Brian O'Neill kind of took a step back next year. Hoping he can take another step forward. Obviously, he was still really solid last year, but I think he's a top tackle in this league. I think Christian Darrisaw, if he plays the potential he can, once he gets his big hands on you, it's tough to get out. He obviously needs to develop technique. I'm hoping Darrisaw and Wyatt Davis start week 1. I'm hoping Zimmer just says screw it. These are the 2 guys, because listen, Rashad Hill and Dozier, they're not going to work out. They're not. Dozier, Samia, Rashad Hill, those 3, they shouldn't see the field. Even that guy we picked up from the Cardinals, the backup center, he should not see the field. You got Wyatt Davis, Christian Darrisaw. These are talented guys. They came here to play. You drafted them to play, so play them right away. There's going to be some learning curves, but let's get those learning curves out of the way weeks 1 and 2 of the season instead of putting them in weeks 6 and 7 and 8 when other teams are starting to come together, and we got to kind of come together as random O-line, hoping they play him right away. And now I'm going to talk about the Kellen Mond pick. Kellen Mond pick, my initial reaction was kind of what the hell, which is honestly shocking. I mean, I was shocked when they took him, but looking more into it, damn, that was another good pick by Spielman. I mean, just listen, you draft a guy like Kellen Mond, and he kind of fits the perfect backup role for the Vikings. Listen, he's a talented guy. He can throw the ball. He's got a big arm, mobile. He's pretty much everything Kirk Cousins isn't. And that's what I want out of a young backup quarterback, because he can sit behind Kirk and take notes from what Kirk does well is stuff that he doesn't do well. And also, if Kirk wants to learn from a young guy, everything Kirk doesn't do well, Kellen does do well. Kellen's got great pocket presence, and he's a great thrower outside of the pocket, stuff that Kirk kind of struggles with. I know Kirk has an absolute cannon when he's rolling out on his bootlegs. However, when it comes to his throws on the run, he sometimes get a little inaccurate. He sometimes gets a little too giddy, and he gets overthrows. Kellen Mond's the opposite. Kellen Mond has an absolute dagger. Kellen Mond struggles with accuracy when it comes to pinpoint kind of precision, like passing of the football, which is what honestly, Kirk's a top 5 quarterback in the league when it comes to just dropping back and finding a target and throwing it. So I feel like they could learn off each other. Also, I really like this because Kirk's still here for 2 years. Kellen can kind of sit behind him for 2 years, learn everything. There's no real going to be any pressure, but it does get some competition going. So if Kirk does struggle in the first 5 games of the season, there will be chatter. There will be chatter of Kellen Mond coming in, which people almost view that as a bad thing. I kind of view that as a good thing. Lights a fire up under Kirk's butt. Get some competition in the room. Competition, listen, people always get scared of it. You know, you don't want your quarterback to feel pressured. When it's a Kirk Cousins situation, I think he thrives off that stuff. He was in a competition with RG3 when he first got in the league. He ended up beating him out, obviously because of injuries and other external factors. But listen, Kellen Mond, another great pick. I believe this offense is going to take huge steps. I think they're kind of set on Chad Beebe being the wide receiver 3, kind of in this situation, but also drafted a running back from Ohio State. Quick shout out to him. Hopefully he can be a good returner, better than KJ Osborne was last year. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Wide receiver 3, I'm thinking it's Chad Beebe. That's the only question I have after the draft. See you guys next time. Like a video, comment down below. Skol Vikes, sub for more Vikings content all off season long. See you guys next time. Peace.